Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to a disappointing episode of I Heart Geek.
Hey now. Hey now.
No, I gotta say, no, the show's gonna be awesome. We're always awesome. We're talking Obiwan episode 3, and some of us aren't as welcoming of episode 3 as others. Yeah, I'm Dub. I'm here with Christina. We're here with Skeeter. We're here with Ryan. Yeah. Now, before we get started on this, if you haven't watched this episode, it doesn't matter. Don't watch it. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. If you haven't watched this episode, you might want to watch this before you listen. If you don't care about being spoiled, we don't hold back on the spoilers. Now, all over the internet, I have not seen a single positive review on anything from this episode. What is going on? After how glowing we were last week, we all, highest grade imaginable for those first 2 episodes. And then this one happened. I don't know if we agree, if we don't agree. Let's start with Christina. What's your initial thoughts before we get into the piece by piece?
Well, first of all, it's all your fault because you liked the first 2 episodes so much that we all knew no matter what, you were going to be heartbroken.
It's all Dub's fault.
It's all Dub's fault. Okay, so to be honest, it was definitely for me not as good as 1 and 2, but I actually still really enjoyed it, and it made me go back to 1, and I'll share it later, but I have some theories that actually excited me. So for me, definitely it wasn't the perfection of the first 2, but I feel like if they do 4 right, they've set it up perfectly. If they didn't,
yeah, the ball is definitely in their court. Ryan, what about you? Your initial.
This is what I call a point A to point B episode. This was merely to move the characters along. There's a couple drops of awesome through here, but there's a lot of meh. There's a lot of things I liked about this episode, but there's just as many things that I was whatever. This is simply to move the characters from one place to another, and they didn't even move them well.
That's fair.
Some moved fast. Some moved faster than others, and in illogical ways.
It was playing 9D chess when we can only play 4D chess. Skeeter, let's hear your initial thought. I think you are in kind of the same boat. Is that salt?
I brought it just because I'm going to be throwing it. But I honestly really feel like the back-to-back episodes 1 and 2, we really got,
everything.
Honestly, we got set up for failure in this one, kind of. I love the way Ryan said it with the moving along or traveling along kind of feel, because that's all this was. Literally moving. They were just going from one place to another. This was the epitome of Phil with something that should have never been added.
Yeah.
Because now, but we're going to get there. I know that. And it just, I don't know, it crushed my soul. This was probably the laziest writing I've seen since, I don't even know.
Green Lantern.
Well, I'll put it this way. Everyone knows I never rate things with an A, especially right out of the gate. And I gave this an A, and I was excited about this. And then this one came, and I'm like, and everyone knows my love of Miss Marvel, and I put it right. This episode is with Miss Marvel. Wow, I know that's a heavy. If you listen to the show enough, that's a huge drop. And it wasn't so much that they could have blown some of the story. The action could have been bad, stuff like that. I can forgive that. Oh well, it'll get better the next time. This felt like the writer said, "Hey, we did a great job. So, you know what? Let's go smoke one in the back." And I forgot what I'm going to do now. So whatever. It felt like the most whatever. I hate you fans reaction. It really felt like I hate you fans.
Hey, the Star Trek guys probably came in and wrote this one just to make the new Star Trek pieces look even better.
And we'll get into what we didn't like about it. Do I think it's irredeemable? No. If this happens again next week, yes. I will be just crusty for the rest of the time. Oh, this is below his skill level. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, I do have some theories that might make it, I'm not going to say it's going to make it okay, but it will at least explain where they're going. We'll get into that as we go. Okay, so let's start with scene 1. This is Obiwan asking for help from Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, this is something we see, it seems like, from younger Jedis. You know, they always go and ask help of the old dead Jedi before them. Obi-Wan should be so far past this. Hold on, Christina. Hold on a second. I feel like
something to say too.
I feel like he's older. I feel like his maturity level should be way past this point. Now, this could be just be me nitpicking, but again, Obi-Wan went from being out of practice to being weak and way more inexperienced than he was. Okay, Christina, go ahead before your head explodes.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Obi-Wan.
He walked away.
He's so pretty.
He is pretty, but that's not the point. He walked away for 10 years. If you look at Nari's death in episode 1, he walked away. So if you're not practicing, it's kind of like if you don't work out for 10 years, you're not running a 5K marathon the very next day. He could barely save Leia in episode 2 because he was so out of practice with the Force. Also, if you go back, Yoda told him that he was supposed to be training with Qui-Gon, and it was clear that he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So he's all of a sudden having this holy what the heck moment, and he's now reaching out.
But here's my problem with that is, I mean, you said this last week, and this was kind of a problem I had last week with the not practicing. But you see Obi-Wan in A New Hope, he's got definitely control the whole field, and I mean,
because
come on.
I think that this is the pivotal change for him, and we're going to talk about that when we get to that point.
I know where we're going on that.
You're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it completely wrong. This is what we call foreshadowing. Qui-Gon is the first Force ghost, and he teaches that to Obi-Wan, and he taught that to Yoda. So we are about to see at some point in this timeline, in this show, we're going to see the Force ghost, and that's going to inspire Obi-Wan to come back to what he knows.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be weak. He hasn't done something for 10 years. Go do something you haven't done for 10 years, and then try and do it against somebody who's probably the best at it.
Ryan, you're my hero.
He's sitting there and he's trying to refocus who he needs to be and who he knows he needs to be. And we're going to start that off with him attempting to contact the Force ghost of Qui-Gon. Getting Qui-Gon back would be amazing because Qui-Gon was a good character.
And I want to think you're right, but no matter how I look at it, no matter how many ways I try to kind of squeeze that out, like, okay, but I feel like this is not Obi-Wan anymore.
Got to push that original trilogist pessimism aside.
You can't do that. You can't.
Got to move it aside
because that's the. I mean, I know Blythe's gonna flip out on me, but nothing is more important than the original trilogy. You have to guide everything
40
by
years
that.
Building it up and all of it to get always let down. Sometimes you just got to push it aside.
But I think it's okay. I'm not who I was 10 years ago. I'm not who I'm going to be 10 years from now. And I just came out of 10 years on a personal level that was very not me. And this last year, I've been finding my Force and I've been finding my way back. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit more understanding about this. Plus he's pretty. No, just kidding.
You're not.
No, he's very pretty.
But I'm hoping for the best. I don't love this character anymore. This is just like, I liked him in the first 2 episodes, you know, and I love who he becomes. And he's one of the standouts from the prequel nonsense. He's one of the few huge standouts. With that being said, I don't love this character anymore. And they did it in one episode. That is.
But he was weak in the first one. He let Nari die. Like he turned Nari away and completely let him die. Told him just bury his lightsaber out in the middle of the desert and live a normal life.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that was okay, but I just feel like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Hopefully we see Obi-Wan's low point here.
Oh, I don't think it can get any lower because this feels like the weakest character that I have no interest in following at this point. I know who he becomes, but Skeeter, you got anything to chime in on this one before you go on to scene 2?
So, people are gonna say, it's like riding a bike, blah blah blah. It's yeah, okay, 10 years. Where do midichlorians live?
Oh,
where? Where do they live? Okay, where does the Force exist?
Force exists
all
everywhere.
Around us, right? Mm-hmm. All around the Jedi. So in 10 years, is it going to move somewhere else? I'm just going to go, the Force cloud is going to go somewhere else? Is 10 years, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
This dude was a master Jedi. Master, okay? He's Force Ghost ready already.
Yeah.
For somebody else.
Yeah, well, I have muscles and I walk around, but I have not exercised them for 10 years. So it does make a difference. Though. I mean, even if you look at like religions and people that don't celebrate or they stop practicing religion and then they come back to it, it takes time. Whatever it is, if you haven't done it for a long period of time or you've lost your faith. And that's really where Obi-Wan is at this point. He has lost his faith and he says it to Nari. We lost, it's over. Yeah. And he believes that.
Mm-hmm. And I get some of this, but it's I don't want to see the core of the character. And we'll move on after this, but yeah. I feel like it's the core of the character. And I think that's where we're seeing it differently. You guys are seeing it as a glitch. I'm seeing it as they wrote him that's not him anymore. And that's where I'm having the issue. So
maybe they want you to feel that way. Fix it.
I hope they do. Because otherwise, I can't handle the fact that I've been this angry for a week. Okay, let's go on. Okay, we got Third Sister and Vader talking. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this. But before we do, I got to say this. When you see Vader, Christensen is not the movement actor that David Prowse was in the... Oh, wow. He is really... I didn't know that he made that much of a difference being in the suit and never saying a word. Oh, my gosh. Christensen, he's bad. And not because I think it's just... I didn't realize that the bar was so high that Vader, with just the way Vader walked. It was so amazing.
Ooh. There is so much power in character acting that people don't even realize.
Yeah.
If you go to like a lot of musicals like Phantom and any of those, that is what pulls you into the story, is all those little fine details. And I absolutely agree with you on this. Christensen doesn't have it.
No.
He doesn't have those fine details. And I to be perfectly honest, and I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Prowse was so good. And honestly, I don't know if he was just so fantastic or Hayden's just not good at all. Because my opinion on the way he acts hasn't changed since the first, or since the second and third movies, episodes 2 and 3. So let's talk Reva and Vader. There's something else going on here. And we'll get to my big part on it soon. But I want to like this more than I do.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Fair enough.
That's the conversation there.
Yeah.
You do what is expected of you, and
otherwise you die.
You will get to be the Grand Inquisitor, and if you don't, it'll be the last thing you do.
Yeah, and I thought
you won't live to regret it.
I thought the way that was handled was very
the tone
nicely
was
done.
Great.
Yeah, I mean,
and to go back to the character acting, I think bringing back Spencer Wilding from Rogue One would have been a better choice here.
Yeah.
Because it would have been closer in the timeline. It would have been somebody who portrayed and did well portraying Vader in a more recent Vader appearance.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think it would have been fine to put Christensen in there as the unmasked in the tank.
Exactly.
That would have been great. But source what works. And Vader in Rogue One worked really well.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been great to bring him back there. But we do get to see Vader's lair again.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Oh my gosh, it looks so cool.
I think the conversation, I thought what was said and the dialogue and the tone was one of the highlights of the episode.
Okay.
It's do this and you can have it all. Don't do it and you're not going to live to tell about it.
Now, here's another misstep in this communication back and forth. I feel like, and I might be the only one, I haven't talked to anybody about this, so I'd kind of like to get your guys' feedback on this. Reva, I feel like anybody that's in Vader's path should kind of cower. I felt like she was way too,
like she seems a little bored with the.
Yeah, like I'm better than you, and
I have some theories.
I don't think that's okay.
I think she's just angry, but
I think she is too. But I feel like that to make this movie work, nobody should be able to stand up to Vader.
I think she was terrible in the first 2 episodes, and I don't think she was terrible here.
Okay.
I thought this was a much better portrayal for her character. I wouldn't have been upset if this is how she was portrayed in the first 2 episodes, but she came off as whiny and Kylo Ren-y.
Yeah, like, we didn't have that this time.
She had this teenage angst about her in the first 2 episodes, and now she's got this like, well, if you think you're going to screw me, I'm going to screw you twice as hard. Revenge is a son of a.
I think the moment she killed the Grand Inquisitor, that was the shift for her, and we got to see it more here.
And she has that conversation with the 5th brother, and
we'll get to that. Hold on, say that.
Yeah.
Can I say something really quick? I just want to back up just for a second.
Go ahead.
The one thing I will say about the opening scene is I was really, really, really disappointed that Natalie Holt did not use Vader's theme.
Yeah,
I feel like that took me out for.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, it really bothered me a lot more than I thought it would. Sorry, I just was reading my notes and I was like, I have to say that.
That's fair. Yeah, that's just a bit disrespectful. Skeeter, how do you feel about this interaction before we move on?
I feel like it's disrespectful. I look at the conversation between I look at her position and I look at Tarkin. And what did he do to that dude?
Yeah.
For just saying, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We should not do that. And about popped his head, right? I mean, like, this girl talked smack straight to him. I mean, of course it wasn't,
I don't think I think it was muted enough, but I think there was enough of it there that I wasn't okay with, he's the main bad guy. I don't care who you are.
Vader. Like, he's the boss. I mean, of course, in this timeline, there's, over him, but still, like, respect, respect the helmet.
And honestly,
he was a marshmallow 10 years prior.
I
don't
there's
think
so many jokes I could make right now that I won't.
Vader yet.
No, with the way everybody's like cowering,
viciousness hasn't ramped up.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's cowering pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but if you go back to the original, when he was force choking Tarkin and the other, I can't remember his name now, it escapes me, but he told him stop, and he listened. So there are some people that are not as afraid of him.
And then he does the same to director Krennic and Rogue One. So like that viciousness is coming. I don't think it's there yet. I think you're actually seeing the first signs of it. He's willing to, to do what he does at the end. We'll get to that. Right?
Yeah.
But he's willing to go to those lengths.
And I don't want to read too much into it, but it feels wrong to me. And again, this is like everything else. It just feels not right. I can't quite put my finger on exactly why, but it just doesn't feel right. If that's fair. Okay, so let's pop on to scene 3. Obi and Leia have a parental type feel, and when Ben gives Leia the Lola back and he's fixed it. Oh, how sweet.
I still love Lola. She will be in my collection.
I say, yeah, I care less than I cared last week. I'll put it that way. I mean, I don't dislike it anymore. I just I don't care. But I thought that was a moment of Obi-Wan being that parental unit that he is. And then he kind of blows that in just a few minutes. Because, yeah. And onto the planet. Now, I can't pick apart any of the visuals. They are absolutely beautiful when the ship goes down on the the plateau. I just think that was absolutely beautiful how that looked. It looked everything that's of Star Wars, and it made me happy. I can't pick those apart. And this is where, and I got to put this in, I think this is either this scene or the next scene, but we can talk about it now. This is when our good friend Kevin has finally had enough of Leia. The brattiness or whatever didn't bother him as much as last week, but this week that was enough. I don't agree, because I think she's a whole lot less to deal with this episode than she was before. I don't know.
I think we're still. It's important to tell Leia or show Leia the way Leia would be.
Yeah, I'm not.
She's not anything like she wouldn't be.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just this is something I wanted to put in because Kevin's very passionate about this.
Yeah, no,
Kevin's wrong.
Leia was absolutely in charge as a young rebel. She was in charge as a general. Why would she not be in charge as a 10-year-old? I mean, absolutely. You can clearly see that Obi-Wan is struggling and he's not believing that people are there to help him. And she's like, well, let's do this. Let's just do this.
Yeah.
I remember her being totally obedient in the trash pit, not speaking her mind there.
Right. Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
Right? I don't know. No one on this panel, I think, is anti what they've done with Leia. I think they've done a fantastic job. I can see it being a bit annoying, but I think that would be a part. I think she would be a little brat.
Absolutely. It wouldn't be Leia.
Yeah. If she was well behaved, she wouldn't have been a good Leia. I don't think it would have been good. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about this before we go on to the next thing? Okay.
Are we getting into Freck here?
We're getting into Freck after this next scene.
Okay.
Okay. So we're on scene 4. The Inquisitor's power struggle. I'm bored. I'm done. If the writing doesn't improve, this will be my bathroom breaks.
Right?
It's bad. These characters should be the most fascinating characters in the world.
And terrifying.
It's bad. This is what took it from, okay, it's just, they're having a bad episode, to this is terrible.
If you don't stop being mean to me, I'm going to go get Vin Diesel.
Oh, see, for me, it's Bruce Campbell in Burn Notice. Yeah. When he talks about, spies, they're just a bunch of whiny little itches.
I don't know. This was like watching Mean Girls.
It was
it was petty.
It's like high school pettiness.
This was written by someone that writes high school dramas.
Yeah.
Or somebody that was tormented in high school.
Cheerleader high school dramas.
You can watch the same thing in Mean Girls. It's
they're going to learn for being mean to me.
I'm fine with that.
Senior year.
The fifth brother is just, he's infinitely more annoying than Reva was.
He's Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Yeah, but he's Dwight Schrute, but not being
not
good,
cool.
Or not being fun to watch. He's Dwight Schrute while being as petty as possible when nobody around him is being petty. Like he's just being petty in the moment for the sake of it.
These characters should be impossible to get wrong, and
I'm fine with Reva being I'll show them. Mm-hmm. That's fine. That's
it definitely made her more powerful.
Female character. Yeah, it gives her a lot more power to sit there and say, "Yeah, I'll show you guys." she didn't bite her tongue before. She got told she needed to bite her tongue. Okay, I'll bite my tongue. Watch this. Like, I'm totally fine with that female character arc. That's fine.
But you don't need to weaken other characters to strengthen others.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
then you have her
a good
sitting
writer
there
will
challenging Vader
Yeah.
in some kind of level, which is like fine, but usually like that would result in her getting force choked, but they don't do it.
So does everybody see where my problems start to come now? Since we're talking this out, does everybody kind of
Well, we
the
didn't
deeper you
like
go
the
into the episode, the
Inquisitors.
more it ties up.
They're not pretty either.
And that's
They
the
shouldn't
problem.
be.
It's like
I don't want them to
the
be.
Inquisitors have like the most like absurd background story. They're the younglings that didn't get killed.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely awesome in Rebels, and then they're really, really great in Fallen Order. I'm actually excited for them to come back in the second game. I mean, the second sister in that game is just unbelievable. She's more terrifying than Vader is in that game, which is weird. That here they're just teen drama just slapped right in the middle of a Star Wars movie or Star Wars show, and it's just like, just get them off the screen. Can we be done with this?
Yeah,
but they killed. They killed the Beast. Like, she killed the Grand Inquisitor.
Like, it's nothing.
Second
episode.
No, yeah, that's second episode.
If she did that in this episode, the power behind it would have been like twice as great. If she did that there and then like is immediately having the conversation with Vader, being like, "Well, I did what I did," and then he has to respect her for it.
That would make more sense.
That
than this
was
crap.
so much more dangerous.
Yeah, definitely
of a character arc.
Yeah, but
she's not.
This is bad writing.
It's like she mugged a dude in an alley more than anything. It's like she stabbed him because he showed up when she was angry, but like not that angry. Like
and he felt weak.
Really
he felt
weird.
like, who cares?
He felt super weak. And the other thing we haven't really talked about is their portrayal of that Grand Inquisitor species. He's the same species as the people in Revenge of the Sith that Obi-Wan's talking to. With the slits in their head.
Yeah.
Powwans or whatever. They're the same species and they look wildly different. I don't understand it. I think that's like another oversight here.
This is stuff that I want to be excited for, and it just, yeah. Okay, so is there anything else we want to talk about before we move on? Okay, let's move on because I'm getting depressed now. Scene 5. Okay, let's talk. We'll start with Leia and Obi again. This is where I went from, okay, I'm kind of just sick of Obi being a wuss, to now he's angry at the little girl for saying something. And it wasn't even like, that was not a good point to get angry. That was a bad decision. It made him just look like a tyrant because Obi-Wan bad, Leia good. No, don't do that. You don't have to weaken one character to strengthen another.
I saw it completely different.
Okay, go ahead.
So for me, in that moment, what it feels like to me is this whole series is Leia helping Obi-Wan on his path to finding his faith back. Like, she, in this point, has become somewhat of the leader that she's destined to be. So I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing there. And then she also, when you tie it in, she also has that very, very human moment where she's like, I should have never run away. This is all my fault. So you get to see both sides of her. And so for me, I'm like, oh, so this is really the story of Obi-Wan becoming Obi-Wan again. And that she is a very integral part of that because of how fierce she is.
I don't see this as a negative on Leia. I see this is 100% negative on Obi. It doesn't feel like he would be.
I saw it a little bit differently than both of you. I saw it as a little girl staring in the face of adventure and a weak old man or weak aging man.
A weak old man. That's what they made.
A weak old man
problem.
who's literally just trying to escape his situation so he can go back into the hiding. But it's tough to contain the little girl who's seeing adventure right in her face.
Yeah.
As scared as she may be.
the thing I found was interesting is this is the first time ever we've heard that Obi-Wan has a brother.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know if that's going to be something that shows up in the future.
I hope not.
But yeah.
No, I'd say I think it's interesting, but it's too. I think that ship has sailed. I don't think they should do that anymore. They're literally. I feel like they're squeezing me for money at that point. If they go forward with that stuff. What about you, Skeeter? How do you see this? Because it seems like we're all seeing a little different. Where do you see on this?
Okay, so I don't know if we're quite to that place yet. This is probably one of my only like really strong points. But I loved the interaction when he calls her Leia.
Yes.
And then she's like, Dad, like, and he's like, it's so near and dear to me. I was thinking of her mother.
That was a good moment. Yeah.
And like that moment, like after that, if you just sat there and thought about it for a second and kind of the silence that was there, it was real. Like it was palpable because he was really thinking of who her mom was, at that moment of losing Padme. Like, and I just went, oh, wow. Like, that was a good point for me. That was like one of very few, but that was powerful.
I'm glad somebody brought that up. Yeah, that was a great moment.
I mean, if any of us, if any person watching the show in that particular time was waiting for these aren't the droids you're looking for, like, to happen, we're expecting it to happen, but it didn't happen. Like, it just worked perfectly. Like, he was a human and just left it there.
Yeah, and we're gonna hit that in a second, but yes.
Even Leia was like, whoa,
oops,
what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
I thought the conversation on that. I thought Freck was great. I thought the banter with the stormtroopers. I thought it was a great insight.
I loved him until he became a stooge.
It was awesome. No,
is that Seth Rogen?
No, that was Zach Braff.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to totally be an ally, and then he totally was not.
I think that's, we usually see people who are like cowering in fear of the Empire, but we finally see a character who's just like, hey, the Empire's fine with me. As long as I stay out of their way, they'll stay out of mine.
Little Order never hurt anybody.
Which honestly, yes. But I mean, here's the fact: 99% of the galaxy, it didn't change their life at all with all this going on. Right. This is, 1% of the galaxy that this is making a difference on. Yes, there are some horrible things that happen, but there's some very good things that have happened. It's a tough line to draw, and honestly, I want to see. I hate that I like this character, and then he kind of ratted him out. But at the same time, I think that's an important story to tell.
Yeah.
When the rebels took over, that destroyed infrastructure all over the universe. People were screwed. And hey, all that indoor plumbing you guys got, well, it's gone now because we don't. It happened, and I think that's an important.
Here, an entire planet that now has no way of making money.
Exactly.
Be poor.
That's something that I think gets ignored a lot. And I think it's a good commentary without going political on anything. I think that's an important.
Yeah, but you also have to go back to the moment when Obi-Wan was telling Leia, this planet used to be beautiful.
Yeah.
So even though they're providing structure, they are changing the natural resources that are out there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Where are we on there? Okay. Okay, so I do want to hit this. I have the biggest problem. This is my final Obi gripe, I think, is why didn't he use the Force? These aren't the droids you're looking for moment. It should have, because he can still use it, and he has shown that he can still use the Force. He stopped her in midair. I'm pretty sure he can do that little basic trick because he did it a couple years later with no issue at all. Like, hey, this is my normal every day.
He's out of practice.
Yeah, I'm
ever-
not.
No,
I'm not buying that one
actually-
anymore. Sorry.
Actually, the most important thing is had he done that, had he used the Force and the Jedi mind trick, we would not have gotten that epic fall from the tower and having that stormtrooper just diced like a Ginsu.
that
So
was cool looking.
I'm okay with it.
The ends justify the means. I get you. Okay.
Consider this: at the end of episode 2, he was told that Anakin's still alive. He knows that Anakin's going to be hunting him down to no end. He knows everybody who is Force sensitive on the Empire side is hunting him down. He needs to hide as much of that as possible, because if someone finds out, they know exactly where he's at. He spends the entire episode trying to hide that, and the second he exposes any of it, then all of a sudden he's found out.
Okay. Now, one thing we discussed this in our little Marco Polo group, but I want to discuss this again for everybody that's listening. Okay, so the female stormtrooper thing. So to me, this shouldn't work because I don't see that the timeline has gotten to where they're conscripting people yet and making new stormtroopers. I feel like they should still be clones. I'm really confused by this. I know that Christina doesn't agree that it's it's right on timeline. I feel like it's not. Apparently I'm wrong because they wrote it, but does anybody feel like it's too soon for the conscripting of the stormtroopers?
I'm gonna let somebody else talk first because I got a lot to say.
Go, Skeeter.
I think it is. I think it's far too soon. We're only 10 years out. I mean, stormtroopers, dude, who did all the killing 10 years ago? You know, as soon as they kicked it off, all the clones, and how many were there, turned on all the Jedi. They weren't fighting. It wasn't about the Empire and the Republic yet. It was still about the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
All this stuff was just ending. It was kind of coming around. So what do we have? I mean, we literally still have clones.
Yeah.
Nothing has transitioned to stormtroopers yet that we're aware of.
And there are still clones that are in the army because that's the whole aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper? Yeah,
They say stormtrooper, not clone trooper.
Yep.
Okay, sorry that you're
Wouldn't it be
reaching on that
awesome
one.
for them to
No, that's
For-
what she says. A
She
stormtrooper.
does say it.
But okay, can I?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I can never say, but the planet that the clones were made from, I can never say it, guys.
Kamino.
Help. Camino.
Camino.
Okay, so they stopped making clones. Clones age rapidly. By this point, they have already made their anti-imperial clone troopers and gained their own independence. So the Empire has no access to more clones. So of course they're going to have to start bringing in other people. And they already know this. They already know that they can't create more clones. So they're already thinking ahead. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all because you have lots of people that want to survive, so they're joining up. And there's people like Freck that say there's nothing wrong with a little order, and they're joining up. So I'm not surprised at all if you look at the timeline that now no clones are being produced at all.
I don't share your passion. I mean, obviously it had to have happened, but it feels like it's too soon. That for me, it feels like they're at least another 10 years too early before it's completely twisted out. But that's me. Yeah. Ryan, go ahead. Finish this one off for us.
I think it's close. Yeah, it's close enough. It's a negligible issue to me. I mean, I think it's lazy writing again, but I don't think it makes or breaks anything. It's already broken at this point, right?
Oh, it's completely broken at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was. It's neither here or there. It is what it is.
Fair enough.
I do have like it is halfway innuendos.
I do have one thing.
Okay.
So on Christina's to go with Christina on this one, the age piece. When Obi shows up to go find Leia, when he's walking through the city, you do see one of the clones like as a beggar
Probably
Just
Commander
all
Rex.
aged out, long hair, beard, with his clone trooper helmet, collecting coin.
Wouldn't
right?
that have
So-
been better if it was Commander Cody?
That,
Yes.
dude, I
Commander
thought
Cody
it
was from,
yes.
like both Griffin and I
No.
went crazy.
Commander Cody. So Obi-Wan's battalion in Clone Wars is they wear orange.
Yes.
So Cody would have been an orange. Blue was the
Bad Batch, isn't it?
501st.
Yeah.
No. It was the 501st, which was Anakin's battalion, which would
Yeah.
mean if that guy was anybody, if he was like actually like not just the normal clone, it would have been Commander Rex.
Yeah, it would have
Or
been
Captain
Rex.
Rex. I'm sorry, but I think it would have been way better for him to run into Commander Cody and it have something more to
The moment.
Obi-Wan there.
Yeah.
But
But the
you're
last
right.
one,
He's not old
Rex-
enough to not be fighting.
The Clone Wars, at the end of the Clone Wars, the animated, didn't Rex give himself up for?
I'm still on season 1, so don't ruin it for me. I've never actually gotten through it. So
It took me a year.
I know what some of those characters actually are because they're introduced pretty early on in season 1, and I know who reports to Anakin, who reports to Obi-Wan, and I know I would have rather seen the guy who reports to Obi-Wan down on his luck now that he got told to off Obi-Wan and failed.
Fair enough. Okay, so scene 6, more Inquisitor office politics, done. Okay, scene 7. Do we really need to talk about that anymore? We're
No.
bored. Yes. Okay, scene 7. Hit the fast forward button, kids. Okay, scene 7 is the hideout. Now, this is where we're going to, have most of our issues and most of our theories that we have now. They are really pushing for the Leia friend of droid storyline. Where's that? I mean, they did it on the first episode. That just seems like it doesn't like it came out of nowhere. Talk to him. What if he wants to talk? And yes, I can see a little girl doing it, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird shoehorning in to make her more precocious.
I think
and
they're
adorable.
just trying to make her humanized.
I
I think it's as simple as that.
I think they have a million droids they introduced. I mean, they've got 3 or 4 that they've introduced recently that are there.
You just
She's
need
just
a
another
big
one that's
walk
there.
around droid. They need a big walk around droid at Star Wars Land. So
Yeah.
R2 and C-3PO are losing their power, so
Mhm.
they need a big walk around. So they shoehorned them in.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. It just feels like it's definitely in your face. But as long as everyone just kind of sees it as, I'm trying not to make things out of things, but that's why I kind of ask. I'm like, is this a thing? Is this bothering me for no reason? And if it is, I'll usually like, okay, it's for no reason. I'll leave it alone. So
I do like the hammer, though. The hammer was pretty cool.
the
Yeah.
hammer was pretty cool. That was interesting how they did that. So scene 8, the final scene, Vader on the ground. Now this is where they have screwed it up.
Did
What-
we already have?
No, we have a big
No, we
point
haven't
where
yet. Okay.
we're way
No.
missing here. And,
What-
Christina,
what-
do you and I want to fight over this one?
You go first.
Go ahead.
This is the
I have talked
single
a
most
lot.
important Leia storyline.
Oh, I agree. I was hoping you were going to
piece.
bring that up.
That the entire show is going to present. You have Tala, and they go into the tunnel or the entrance to the tunnel, and she's telling them that there's people all across the galaxy who are helping this along, and that there's an underlying resistance here. And what you have is a little girl whose life mission is being presented to her
Yes.
in the awe of the spectrum of what she's going to eventually take over. She's the woman who unites the resistance, and she's being told about that resistance right then and there. That's so it's so the best thing. I don't think I need to hear anything else about Leia after that. It is that big in spectrum for Leia's character.
I agree. I think that is honestly that's all I need to hear about Leia for the rest of the
Right.
until New Hope. I don't care anymore. That was perfect.
Episode would have been perfectly fine if the title of the show was Organa and not Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
You'd have less issues with it because you're not worrying about Obi-Wan. But they're the spectrum of what she's being, the grandiose effect of what she's being told there. It's so important for her character. It'll eventually be what her life's mission.
Because it can't all be genetics. It has to be nurture as well as nature.
Right.
And I think that was that nurture moment. And I think that was, I was waiting for you to bring it up because I think that was one of those.
Oh, I loved it. It was the best part of the episode to me.
It was the only good thing is really.
The second thing when Obi-Wan's telling her, she reminds him so much of her mom, which is just
but that didn't change the story. This did.
But this links a lot of what Leia would end up becoming, and it tells you like why she diverted away from just like a standard senator or whatever position she was going to end up taking to what she ended up doing, which is running with the resistance and being part of the rebel alliance and all that. And that's it can't be undersold. Like that's the best writing in this episode.
Yeah. Oh,
it's not too in your face. It's there and it's understood if you know what you're watching.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't know what's going on, they'll catch on as they watch the original trilogy if they watch it in the whatever order they're going to do it.
And it kept me from hating the episode. It did. Yeah. I would have
saved the episode.
I would have hated the episode literally if we didn't have that. I think it is that big of a deal. And I think it was handled well. It was handled. That was the one time that they came out of the bathroom and I guess they ran out of bumps and said, "Oh, gotta write something good here. Okay, gotta go back to the bathroom."
I think they took a giant list of like, hey, what do Star Wars fans want? And they like took like 3 things, but they took like the bottom 2 things of the list,
and they used that for toilet
probably
paper.
Like the number 2 thing on the list.
Literally, that was number 2.
I love Tala. I think that she did such a good job. She's what is her name? Indra? Is it Inadi? I can. Varma, that's her last name. Anyway, she's in Torchwood. She does a lot of great characters, and I feel like
okay, I know who she is now.
I feel like she portrayed this so beautifully, and like even her little piece of the story about how she became a part of the resistance, you could almost see like that spark, and that's what excited me so much in this moment. And I think just a little bit, it just goes back to that building that relationship with droids and trusting rebels and trusting, because that's who she becomes. I mean, she trusts a little droid with the biggest message in the universe.
Yeah.
It felt a lot like to me in Force Awakens when Han's telling him like, oh, the Force and everything you've known about it, it's all real. Like that's where it kind of felt like that. Like if somebody's telling you like the Force is real, like that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I teared up. I got goosebumps. It was a very
I definitely got the goosebumps from that.
Yeah.
So let's move on. I got 2 more points that I have huge issues with and one theory ish, which I might have a problem with. Well, I'll let you know. Okay. Our first problem is they should have kept Obi and Vader completely apart because all this is doing is taking away everything that was special about the New Hope in that last duel. It's taking it all away and putting it in the garbage. Keep them apart forever. No. Sorry, that's my own.
I think it was like another thing they took off the list, but then did it poorly. So that entire sequence felt very much like in Return of the Jedi when Luke's under the stairs and is unwilling to fight him, but he's still talking to Vader. That is what this felt like, but it felt so terribly executed.
It was bad.
How do they keep like Obi-Wan gets away and then Vader just shows up right in front of him and then Obi-Wan gets away? It's like, did you guys ask the guys from Falcon and Winter Soldier to write you like a sequence? It's like it's a chase him down, get it caught, and then he gets away. And then chase him down, get caught, and he gets away. Like that's all it felt like to me.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely poorly executed. However, I think if it would have been done completely right, it would have been a huge character arc for Vader and his viciousness, because he is 100% fueled by anger, rage, and revenge. And you see that when he pulls Obi-Wan into that fire. And I think that would have been so powerful if it had been done right. And it absolutely was not.
Okay, Fair enough. Okay, now we got one more thing I want to bring up, and that's huge issue with the logistics of how did Reva catch up or get ahead of Leia, and Tala got out and without passing by Tala. No, it was.
Oh, see, that was so easy for me because they were taking underground routes to get to the pilot. She took a direct route. For me,
there's a simple fix to this entire scene. Just she runs into the fifth brother. The fifth brother killed the guy she was supposed to meet up with, and she turns around and Reva's there and saying what she needed to say. I'm fine with what Reva told her, and I'm fine with the way they end it. But Reva shows up behind her.
It was wrong.
Brother's right in front of her, and then she's trapped. And then boom, you end it, and it would have been a non-issue. But now it's like you don't know how a tunnel works. Point A does not mean you're automatically at point B. It was so
it's
weird.
a thing. It was an issue. There's other things I want to hit, but we are over time, so I can't. So
I'm gonna type my theory in. So
here's what I want y'all to do. Go to our Facebook or YouTube. Tell us your theories, and we're gonna put some of our theories on there because there's a lot we're missing here, guys. I apologize, but we try to keep these at an hour.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, very, very quick. What's your grade for this week, Christina?
It's a C.
Okay. Ryan?
C.
Skeeter?
C-.
I'm at that. If they, because of that one scene, redeemed it, I gave it a C-. It would have been a lot lower. And that's pretty bad considering the first episode, everybody had an A. So let's hope the Force brings us a better episode next week. Until next time, I'm Dub. I'm here with Christina. We're here with Skeeter. We're here with Ryan. Keep on geeking on. Go to the website, all that stuff. We'll see you next time. Yeah. Huh.
Oh, stop recording.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.